Hi, I'm Natasha Rizopoulos. Welcome to YogaU. This is a tutorial on Vinyasa Transitions, the connections between the poses that make up Surya Namaskar, the Sun Salutes, that will allow you to flow freely and fluidly. Now, of course, in order for the transitions to flow freely and fluidly, the poses they're connecting need to truly be refined. So in addition to talking about the transitions between chaturanga and up dog, between up dog and down dog, we'll also give a little bit of information about the poses themselves so that you can take full advantage of your sun salute and have it impact all of your other postures as well. Begin by standing in Tadasana. Now there's a very important part of the foot that I refer to a lot in my teaching and that can have a big impact on your practice if you know where it is. And I'm talking about the big toe mound. Not the big toe, the big toe mound. So take a moment in Tadasana and come on to the tiptoe of one foot. Okay? Now on your tiptoe, put your hand on your thigh and feel the quality of your thigh. If you're like most human beings, it will be kind of jello-like. It will not be firm or engaged. Then root down through your big toe mound, like plug it into the floor. And as you press down through your big toe mound, feel your thigh again. You should notice that it's active, that it's engaged, that it's firm and strong. This is the thigh that we need throughout the Vinyasa practice. And getting this thigh requires maintaining the vigor of the big toe mound. Keeping that in mind, now come to Tadasana. In Tadasana, press down through your two big toe mounds. Pull up with your inner arches. Now just for a moment, lose the big toe mound. Pull up so much through your inner arches that you feel your outer ankles bowing out. That bowing out of the outer ankle is quite dangerous, and the correction, go ahead and do it now, is to root down with your big toe mounds while keeping the lift of the inner arch. That will be relevant where we're going. For now, let's begin a classical Surya Namaskar. Inhale, take your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, fold, hinging at your hips. Now please notice where Kristen has her hands in utanasana. Of course, it helps that she has a mobile body. But the point is that her hands are not way out in front of her feet. Do you see what happens to her shoulders when her hands are out ahead of her feet? Her shoulders hunch around forward. Take the hands back next to the feet, and of course, if you need to bend your knees a bit to make that happen, also do that if you have pain in your lower back in Uttanasana, then do so. Now inhale Ardha Uttanasana. Often in Ardha Uttanasana, when people reach their chest forward and up, they again take the hands forward. Show that one more time. Hands forward means shoulder forward. So in Ardha Uttanasana, either have your fingertips in line with your toes. This will be very important as we head to chaturanga. Or if you have a slightly less mobile body, place your hands at your shins. If this is your Ardha Uttanasana, make sure that you're not locking back into your knees. Inhale here. As you exhale, hands beside your feet. Please don't put your hands in front of your feet. And then step to plank. And when you step to plank, this will also impact your chaturanga. Have your shoulders slightly ahead of your wrists and have the big toe mound rooting into the floor. If you're not used to this setup, you might need to walk your feet a little closer to your hands, but please don't simply rock forward. Now inhale here, engage your quadriceps, activate your legs. As you exhale, without losing the big toe mound, pull your chest forward, chaturanga. Yes, we want a right angle, but we don't want to lose the big toe mound or lose the legs. Then push your toes back. They need to slide back. Inhale to upward facing. The toes need to push back so that in upward facing, your shoulders end up directly over your wrists. Take one more inhale here. And then as you exhale, downward facing, pull the toes forward by activating the hip flexors, More on that shortly. And then drop to your knees and sit back on your heels. So the important pieces that I'm trying to share with you during this tutorial are the ideas of the feet moving symmetrically as you go from chaturanga to up dog, like so, and symmetrically as you go from up dog to down dog, like so. I can't stress the importance of this enough. If you don't push your toes back when you go from chaturanga to up dog, your shoulders end up too far forward in up dog. And when the shoulders are too far forward, it's a very dramatic, acute, stressful angle on the wrist. And in addition, you're not able to use the strength of your arms for one of the key elements of up dog, which is pulling the chest through the gateway of the arms. Many students make the transition from chaturanga to up dog by simply rolling over the foot. And when that happens, they literally end up the length of a foot too far forward with their shoulders. And that's literally the length of the foot that they're not able to find in their upper back. So let's look at a couple of these things again. Chris, will you come to downward facing? Now, one of the ways that people sometimes find the correct position in up dog instead of pushing the toes back simultaneously is by doing what I call flip-flip. I'll have Kristen show flip-flip. It's fine to do it every once in a while if there's something going on, but it is not a long-term solution. What flip-flip does, and I think you'll be clear about why once you see her do it, is put clunk, clunk, asymmetrical pressure on your lower back, dumping into each of your SI joints. So just to be clear about our terminology, inhale, rock to plank. Now remember, she's got her big toe mounds plugged into the floor, and she's not going to lose that as she goes to chaturanga. Exhale, chaturanga, catching the shoulders elbow height. More on that later. Now show flip, flip. Flip, flip. Dump, dump into each of the SI joints. Pause here for just a moment. One of the incorrect ways that people get to down dog, instead of sliding the feet forward and keeping the outer ankles bowed in, is that they do a kind of circular action. She's doing it now, but she'll never do it again with the ankles. Okay? She did that. She suffered for her art. Okay? So the point is that when the outer ankle bows out, there is a sickled foot. And this is literally the most sprained ligament in the body. We want a yoga practice that corrects vulnerabilities rather than exaggerating them. That's a very common solution that people do, and often they don't even know that they are doing it. One of the ways to find out whether this is one of your little escape strategies is to do a vinyasa with a block between your ankles. So inhale, rock to plank. Remember the big toe mound. Exhale, chaturanga. Now push the toes back. She's still got the block between her ankles. Inhale, urdhva. Watch the movement of the hip flexors as she exhales to Adho Mukha. She pulled her hips up. The feet went along for the ride. Now that's a key element of the transition from up dog to down dog. The movement initiates in the hips and the feet are dragged forward, and it's only once the feet have dragged forward that the heels drop and the foot changes shape. Now let's go through the whole thing one more time, but before we do, a word about chaturanga. Chris, will you drop to your knees and put the blocks upright, shoulder distance apart, and let's move them onto the block so that you can tap them. Good. A little closer together, I think. Now, very often students don't know where their shoulders are in space. This is a lack of proprioception, which many of us suffer from. So the blocks can be very helpful feedback mechanisms to tell you that you're catching yourself elbow height. Going lower than elbow height creates what Richard Freeman calls the demonic shoulder. This is a very dangerous position for the shoulder and especially for the rotator cuff muscles. So we need to keep the head of the upper arm lifted and create a true right angle, which means keeping the shoulder in line with the elbow. Go ahead and come to downward facing with your hands an inch behind the blocks. So we'll go through the whole thing now. What I want you to watch is the shoulders catching elbow height, the feet pressing back simultaneously, then rolling over from chaturanga to up dog. And then watch how Kristen pikes her hips up as she goes from up dog to down dog, and that's what pulls the feet forward. Inhale, rock to plank. Root down through the big toe mounds, engage the legs. These are necessary for the transition to up dog. Exhale, chaturanga, heart forward, heels back. Push the toes back simultaneously, roll over the feet. Inhale here. The hands press down, the hips pop up on an exhale. The feet are dragged forward without the outer ankles bowing. The heels land. Take an inhale here. Exhale, come to child's pose. I invite you to play with these transitions. If they seem very difficult at first, if they seem like they're for a different species, a nice way to play with them is to put your feet in socks, have your hands on a sticky mat so that your hands have stability, and then learn the feet actions with your feet sliding in socks on a wood floor. Sometimes we can train the body under less challenging circumstances and create a kind of neuro pathway, a muscular memory that we can then integrate into the more challenging normal circumstance. Namaste.